I am making the best bouillon this side of the border. We have got 2 crock pots full of soup bones, and what I'm going to do is cook them down overnight. And I'm going to put like 1 cup of water in each crock pot, 1 tablespoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of pepper, and then I'm going to cook this on low overnight in the crock pot. So this was 4 packages of soup bone that are left over from last year's cow, and we have 8 that we just got recently with the new cow. This is just step 1, and this is a many-day process. The soup bones are done cooking. They cooked for 19 hours on low in the crock pots, and now I'm going to start the separation process. It smells so good in here. I kept waking up last night with dreams of food, and then thought I'm gonna go out and snack on that. Okay, what I'm gonna do is just pour all of the contents of the crock pot into the strainer. It's still very hot, so. All right, I'm just gonna set this back in here and pour the liquid into the kettle that we're gonna cook all this down in. Okay, so then I can just take the bones out, and they're really clean of the meat. Okay, and now I can find the big chunks of fat, or actually they're little chunks, and more bone. Get this really good and cleaned up, because all this delicious meat that's left over is going to go in the canner. Nothing's going to waste. Okay, I've picked it through it pretty good, but if there's anything left, we'll find it when we go to put it in the jars. So I'm just going to dump this meat in here. Alright, now for the shredded meat into the jars. I'm again going to use the electric pressure canner, which is pretty freaking awesome. I'm just going to put a little bit of water in the bottom of each of these jars. I'm not packing these with bouillon because, or broth, because the meat is so flavorful, it would make it overpowering. But the reason I'm adding water into the bottom of the jars is to help eliminate the air bubbles after I put the meat in. So I'm just going to add a little bit at a time, and then as I'm doing that, I can just kind of pack it down lightly. Yeah, this is going to be perfect. I'm going to end up with 7 pints and then just enough left over for supper. Perfect. If it lasts till supper, because it's just so good, you guys. Once I get all this debubbled, I either am going to have to add a little bit of meat or take a little bit out. We'll just have to see. There's probably not going to be enough for supper, so I guess there's a snack, which I'm super excited about. So this is all I ended up with at the end, which is so very sad because it's so delicious. So now what I'm going to do is wipe my jars. Finger tight. So between the kettle that we've got on the stovetop that is cooking down the bone broth, and the canner, it smells so good in this house. I can't even tell you guys. Just gonna look at this and drool. Yum. My favorite sound. I'm gonna pour this through the strainer again and get the bones and the fat separated from the liquid. Because there's so much liquid in the bottom of this, the strainer is sitting in the liquid and I want all of that liquid. So what I'm gonna do is just put this over the pot and let it drip out for a few minutes. Then I'm gonna put the contents of this into the pot. After I poured the hot contents back into this kettle, I'm gonna wait about 30 minutes or so for the sediment, everything to collect to the bottom before I stick it in the fridge. So, and then we'll see you in the morning when I get this fat cap off the top. Oh, in the fridge we go. I hold the dairy, oh, in the fridge we go. Okay, now I am separating the fat. And the fat is still kind of soft, even though it was in the fridge all night. So I have to gingerly scrape this so that I don't get too much of the gel into the fat, because then it's, well, then I'm wasting the gel, which we're going to turn into bouillon powder, and then it's going to take more time and effort to render this fat. So then I'm going to use this same spoon to scoop out the gel into this bowl. Try not to scrape the bottom of the pan because that's where all the sediment is. Oh, there's a lot in here. This is fantastic. Oh, all the hard work and the end result is just going to be amazing. Look at that. Actually, there is not a lot of sediment in the bottom of this unless I scrape it, so I think I can just dump this into the bowl. Like, it's really stuck to the bottom of the pan, so that's good news. Save some time. And there's herbs in the freeze dryer right now, so what I'm going to do is keep this in the fridge for a few hours, and then okay, that's really good. Now I can show you what's in the bottom of this pan, and this is all the grossness that we don't want in the bouillon. So it's really dark and mucky. Anyhow, I'm gonna keep this in the fridge for a while. Then I'm gonna, when the herbs are done in the freeze dryer, then the trays will be available, and I can take the herbs out and use the trays to put this on, and then I'm gonna flash freeze it in the deep freeze before I put it in the freeze dryer. Alright, change of plans. So we just combined the herbs that were in there, and we decided that this is gonna fit on 2 trays. So we've got one already prepped over there. Oh, perfect. Perfect. All right. All right. And I'll get the second tray in here. Herbs, bouillon, herbs, bouillon. And we wait. Well, the freeze dryer beeped. It froze for 6 hours and then it dried for 18 hours. So we're gonna check this. It doesn't feel cold at all. This is just the best. This is crazy, you guys. Oh, it's beautiful. So we've got 2 trays of this and then 2 trays of herbs that are freeze-dried. So I'm gonna get these packaged up immediately. So the one tray did not feel exactly dry, so I threw that in for a little bit longer. And I'm just going to get these ground up and jarred up so they don't start dehydrating. Oh my gosh, it's just gorgeous. How light and fluffy. Fantastic. We'll get this vacuum sealed. Look at that. Yay. So we'll have a whole quart-sized jar by the time we're done. And then we just wait for the next batch. I feel really accomplished. So 4 days of work, and this is what I ended up with, and a delicious dinner one night. So I got 7 pints of the most delicious shredded beef I've ever had. I say that every time I eat, but it's really, really good, believe me. And a jar of towel and the bouillon, which, wow, I couldn't even believe that I ended up with this much of it. And so I'm gonna sample it and see what ratio I need for the mixing process. Now what I'm gonna do is figure out the ratio of bouillon to water so that I can write that on the top of the jar for future mixing instructions. Now this is not ground into a fine powder. It's just like, I don't know what a coarse grind. So if it were ground into a fine powder, I would not need as much. So that's why it looks like I'm going to be using more than the norm. But I've got a half a cup of water in here, and I'm just going to put a tablespoon of the bouillon, mix it up and give it a taste, and that way I know I can determine what the measurements will be. All right, so give it a little taste-a-roo. That is bone broth. Now, this doesn't have any salt in it, so that definitely needs salt, but I think that's a really good ratio. So for this one in particular, I would write 2 tablespoons of bouillon to 1 cup of water and add salt. I like everything with a lot of salt in it, so, oh, how exciting. I cannot wait to share this with people. So I'm gonna go get this vacuum sealed back up and clean up my little messaroo. And I thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm gonna add some salt and see how that goes. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love salt. If you're feeling salty, I'm your tequila. You got the freedom, I got the time. There ain't nothing sweeter than naked emotion. You show me yours, hon, and I'll show you mine.